Well, good afternoon and welcome to Thursday Thought. Late last week, I received a call at the office from a woman who needed assistance with some rent. Now, we normally don't do rent, but when she told me that she was keeping 7 kids in 3 motel rooms, I at least listened to her story. Now, I'm not going to go into the story that she gave, but she did say that she was working with another church in town, and I asked if I could contact that church regarding her, and she agreed. By the way, we didn't help with the rent, but we did pay her motel bill for all 3 rooms for another day to give her a little bit more time to get some things put together. Well, I called the woman at the other church and I visited with her regarding this person in need, and I also visited with her regarding benevolence in general. The church I called was on the west side of Wichita in a nicer neighborhood. It was also a much larger congregation than ours. We ended the call with my asking if we could meet in person and discuss benevolence in general a little more fully than we could on the phone, and she agreed, and we met this week, yesterday, in fact. Abby and her supervisor were gracious and forthcoming in this meeting. I was somewhat surprised by the number of benevolent requests that they receive on the average. They said it wasn't unusual for them to receive 8 or more requests a day for some kind of help. They said the numbers have substantially increased, and there were days that they felt inundated. That was the word Abby used to describe how she felt. They receive mainly requests for rent assistance, and they also receive other kinds of requests, including food, clothing, transportation, other services. And as you may know from my other Thursday Thoughts, Riverwalk normally doesn't do rent or transportation, those kinds of things. But we will, depending on the circumstance, help with a utility bill or perhaps gasoline for a vehicle. We also help any of our members much more fully than we would a non-member if there's a need there. We are limited, however, just as all nonprofits and churches are, in how much we can help. There's only so much to go around, and when it's gone, we have to say no. Well, I tell you these things to say that we often have conflicting emotions and feelings as we work with those in need. These women that I visited with yesterday confirmed that as I visited with them. We often feel discouraged at the sheer numbers of those in need. We almost grieve as we hear of children and women who have no place to go and they're living on the street or living in a vehicle. We become angry at times because of how some are treated by landlords and others. Hearing the stories of those who are being sucked into the pit of homelessness and poverty becomes wearing on our emotional well-being and even makes us physically and mentally exhausted at times. We become cynical at the world and the society around us, a seemingly uncaring and cruel place. We look at government for assistance, and many times we receive commissions and committees who are studying the issues with no real answers forthcoming. We look to our state legislatures and the National Congress, and we see partisan bickering, stonewalling, and seemingly catering to the haves more than the have-nots. Abby and Sherry at the church I visited, as well as we at Riverwalk and dozens of other nonprofits and churches, we work hard to provide the resources as we can and are able to those in need. We sometimes cannot provide what the requester believes he or she needs, but sometimes we can help out in some way. Additionally, we work to help those needing help to try to see beyond the next hour, the next day, or the next week, to work toward some kind of self-sufficiency and to leave generational poverty and need behind. And when appropriate, we broach the subject of spiritual need and the fact that Jesus Christ can fill that need, and our willingness to partner with them in exploring the faith. Abby, Sherry, and I ended our conversation with the old truth that, well, we can't help everyone, but we can help someone, one person at a time. We closed with a prayer that each of us participated in, and I left there uplifted by the knowledge that others feel as I often do and by the truth of helping one person at a time, being given the opportunity to point people to the love of Christ Jesus, as well as receiving the strength and wisdom to carry on. I'm grateful for that opportunity that I had to visit with them and hope to do so again sometime. And I'm also grateful for the opportunity that God has given me at this time to do this work on behalf of the Riverwalk Church of Christ. Blessings.